We're good to have you join us back again. It's still Leadership Dialogue podcast on LJE Nigerian TV. You remember you can always be part of this conversation. All you need to do is like, follow, and of course, drop your comment on our social media platforms on YouTube, on Instagram, TikTok, as well as Facebook. The handle still remains at LJE Nigeria. But before we went on the break, Barrister Memeh was sharing his thoughts on how politics in Nigeria vis-a-vis party system works. Do you share in the opinion that the problem we have with political integration in terms of ideology and the consistent dysfunctionality in Nigerian party system goes beyond active citizenship? It goes beyond the internal mechanism that has been put together to run daily affairs of political parties. But perhaps a major problem dovetails from the 1999 Constitution as amended. Do you share in the opinion that it is time we either come together as a country to reconstruct, reproduce another constitution driven by the people rather than a military co-signed document, which a lot of people would rather prefer?
For me, there is, I know we have some fundamental issues with our constitution, that has, particularly in the area of resource control and the rest of them few. But that is not the reason why this country is not moving in the right direction.
I mean in terms of political parties.
In terms of political parties, like I mentioned to you, we have issues with citizenship participation in our political space.
And you believe that is perhaps the major reason
is one of the major problems.
Our political parties have continued to fall over so easily.
Very, very clearly, because if you look at those who were in PDP from 1999, the same people had moved to APC. In 2014, the same people had now moved to ADC. And before the election, they will still move to other political parties.
Isn't that the reason why the 1999 Constitution, as amended, should be strengthened to curtail
there is the freedom of
the constant freedom crossing of politicians, especially when they have rode on a party and then won election?
This freedom of association, as enshrined in Section 40 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, does not prevent people from freely associating. It is led for Nigerians. Many Nigerians do not participate in politics because some of them don't even participate in voting.
But while we understand the rights of Nigerians provided under the Constitution of Nigeria as is amended, we'd also know that where your rights stop is where the right of the next person begins. And when it comes to development, economic development, or ideological politics, or strengthening of the Nigerian political system, some bottlenecks need to be put in place. I know
to prevent registration.
I know a bill of sorts has been pushed at the National Assembly before now, stopping the crisscrossing of politicians. That also, it became a law at some point. It's entrenched in our laws. But unfortunately, not one, not two, or three political parties as of today abide by that law. Is the problem still not in the Constitution? Or perhaps the interpretation or the implementation of such law?
No, when you look at the Electoral Act is very clear. The law is very clear that deals with the issues of cross-carpeting and taking your mandate given to the political party to another political party. But the political players, the political parties themselves, there are so many things that goes beyond the scene. It is the responsibility of the political party to pursue its mandate. If someone is elected and such a person moves from one party to another party, taking the mandate given to that political party to a new political party, it is the responsibility of that political party to ensure that it reclaims its mandate.
And how should they reclaim their mandates?
They can go to courts. But you have seen so many persons that have moved from one political party to the ruling APC. How many of the political parties have gone to courts?
A few of them has, including the PDP.
Including the PDP. So
in recent times.
they can't pursue their mandate because the law is very clear on the issue.
As much as the law is very clear on the issue, a lot of political parties, like I did mention, have once in a while approached the judiciary seeking a recall and wanting their mandates back. But at the end, what did we see? So is it safe to say that the problem still remains with the Constitution and misplacement of priority or the interpretation through the judiciary? Is the judiciary weak? Or have we gotten to a stage where we can outrightly say that perhaps corruption has become a banner within the judicial space in Nigeria?
Well, it would not be so correct to say that corruption has, overtaken.
I know you're off the back.
But then when you look at it critically, like I keep mentioning, and I will say this again, it has to do with the players. It has to do with the players and how the political party is able to present its case to the courts and proving such a case. But one thing I know for sure is that when it comes to political cases, sometimes they tend to settle, behind his in. So you see a political.
But some have progressed.
But I've witnessed a particular senator who left his political party to another political party. So when they tried to raise issues, it settled the political party and they moved on. So these are the things that happened without the public knowing. But in the real sense, it is very clear when there is no leadership division and leadership crisis at the center of that political party, you cannot leave that political party, taking the mandates of that political party to another political party. So that is the position of the law.
And do you also believe that when these laws are upheld, it would, to a great extent, stifle these movements?
The law is there. The law that prevents.
The law is there, we know.
Yes.
But if these laws are upheld further or strengthened, would it stifle some of this cross-carpeting?
How do you want to strengthen the law? But the law is already there. There are conditions. The law did not prevent one from associating. If you are elected under the platform of the People's Democratic Party and you choose not to continue with People's Democratic Party and you choose to move to the All Progressive Congress, it therefore means that you have to lose your membership in that parliament. So, but the law also provides that if you choose to move from that political party to another political party, under one condition, that such a political party, if such a political party is in crisis, it therefore means that you cannot continue with that political party as a result of internal crisis, which brings division in that particular political party. So, the law does not intend to prevent the freedom of association of any individual.
But in cases where the political party is still undivided and indivisible,
yes,
and then somebody chooses to leave, with a stronger law, an upheld portion of the law, strengthening political parties, do you not think that would, in many ways, caution political members and, members of political parties from cross-carpeting? Perhaps before they cross-carpet or even before they join a political party to run or contest for elections, they would put things into place, objectives. They need to put, bring their cards to the table and then kind of match those cards to know where their interests and ideology, or if their interest is in sync with the ideology of Party A or in sync with Party B, in order to avoid the big stick of the judiciary should they decide to cross carpet without division in the party.
It is very important for the sanctity of our political system to maintain such a strict measure. But what you see is that you have...
Can a political system maintain strict measure without the help of a judiciary?
Yes, it is possible. We have a system we're putting up together and with extra measure, because we found out that the provision of the Electoral Act alone cannot sustain such a procedure.
But the Electoral Act is subject to the Constitution of Nigeria 1999 as amended.
Yes.
So where does the problem lie?
The problem lies with the leadership of the structure. That is what I'm saying. That, you see, this is a major problem. You have someone who could not... I mentioned earlier from the beginning of this program that there is no procedure to instill political ideology on the members of political party. And I said that there are so many other enticing programs that are introduced by the political party that will entice the members to come forward. Issues of training, and when they talk about training, it should operate like an institution where people can come in, learn skills, and they will become whosoever they want to become in life. During the program, during the process, you cannot instill the ideology of the party. They will know that I am a member of this political party and this is the ideology of that political party. So when you have these people grow in that political party, when they contest elections under that political platform, it will be difficult for them to lead the party. So, but right now you have political parties that the only responsibility or function they carry out is to organize congresses and sell forms for aspirants. And that is where the issue lies. Then it takes courageous leaders to change this system in every political climate. And that's why I say that there are so many professionals in Nigeria who are not interested in politics. So the good-minded Nigerians must begin to find themselves into political space, because they are needed at this time to correct the errors. So operating a political party like it is being operated here in Nigeria is not viable. And you still continue to have these things. For instance, I listened to my governor from Delta State, former governor of Delta State, when he was interviewed after he left the party. He was there in PDP from the foundation of the party up to this moment. Then recently, he led for the APC. I remember some of the unprintable words and remarks he made about the APC. Today, he said the PDP is no longer conducive for him to be. The question is, what is PDP and who is PDP? PDP is made up of the members of the party. So when you have people that you think they are leaders running away from responsibilities to other areas or other political parties that have been fixed or arranged by other leaders, they begin to ask yourself questions. Where then is the ability for them to run a system? When you have these people or someone who had occupied position of a governorship in the past that cannot sit down and say, okay, what are the issues? Let us chart these issues. What do we need to make the political party function? In this, one of the interview granted, I'm making reference to him, he said that there is no political ideology in Nigeria. So the question is, who will instill or bring in political ideology in Nigeria? And what is ideology in the first place? Many of the political parties even have ideology that they cannot even implement. The leadership of the political party must be strengthened. Those who decide to establish political parties must have a clear understanding of what they intend to achieve through a political party by setting up political institution that cannot be referred to the political party, where they can bring about the culture, the core values, and the ideological principles of such political party. And they must also nurture the procedure, successive procedure, There are universities that have been funded for more than 100 years, and such universities are still existing.
Well,
These are the issues. They should operate. They should get people to run the system and have a clear ideological principle to operate the system. That is the only way we can have the system running.
yeah, absolutely. Barrister Memeh, I know this conversation is an ongoing conversation, and of course, as one that a lot of Nigerians will be interested in knowing. But as we wrap up this conversation, I know you share in the opinion that it's time for new crops of politicians to emerge, particularly from the youth, which makes more than 50% of Nigerian population as of today. So given that backdrop, what would be your word to Nigerian youth, for instance, one? And then, can you, in not too many words, differentiate a party manifesto from a political party's candidate roadmap or blueprints for the sake of youth who perhaps in coming elections would want to participate or perhaps want to have a better understanding on how politics and political engagements work in Nigeria?
You see, politics is basically practiced by politicians because that is what they see as the basic work they can do. But looking at the manifestos of a political party tends to portray the ideological core value of such a political party, what they intend to do when they eventually come into public space. Whether they are unable to come into the executive positions, if they are in the parliament. How many political parties in Nigeria have you seen sponsor a bill through their members? So most time you discover that the politicians will just come in, win the elections, and bring in their own blueprints and start implementing without following up.
So how can Nigerian youth differentiate amongst these two? Because most times what we see is that they get to a point where they are mainly confused as to which is worth in a political party. Some of them believe that the roadmap of a political candidate or governorship candidate of a certain political party automatically is the ideology of that party.
You see, this is a major issue, and that is why Nigerians have not been able to distinguish because of the way we are run our political system. Nigerians have not been able to distinguish the different cultures of different political parties. Now, you can see this coalition that is going on. People are saying, particularly the obedience, are saying, wherever Mr. Obi goes, they will go. So whether he goes to Labour Party or remain in Labour Party or goes to ADC or any other political party that he chooses. But they fail to understand that every political party has its own core value. So when you want to talk about even the Peter Obi, I don't know if he had taken time to read the manifesto of the ADC, because he must align himself with the manifesto of the ADC. Every political party provides the platform through which governance basis can rest on. You cannot put something on nothing. So the political party provide the programs, and the ideas is they tend to provide for the people. The candidate themselves also have something to offer. So you have to blend your agenda to the agenda of the political party. It is the responsibility of the political party to even condemn or control or possibly direct the paths of their elected officials. But what you see today is that once a politician is elected, most time he will even remove the chairman of the political party and put someone else there.
So how can Nigerian youths differentiate more between an ideology of a political party and that of a political candidate?
Right now, I do not think we have any political party, ideologically based political party in Nigeria. Unfortunately. So, and it is even good the way they are following in candidates. So Nigerians are following candidates right now. But I know that the coming registrations that will be conducted, probably there will be few political parties with a core political party ideology that Nigerians can begin to differentiate. What we are looking at now, we are looking at the speeches made by the politicians or the candidates or the aspirants who want to contest to become whatsoever or any position they want to contest for. So right now, Nigerians do not really know what the political parties stand for. They don't even know, they don't even care to know the constitutions or the manifesto of such political parties. They are following the candidates. Until we have political parties that should be able to drive programs, a political party that should operate like an institution even before getting into power, that is when Nigerians will begin to identify that this is a political party, this is what they believe in, this is what they're already doing. So when such a political party comes into governance, it will just be like a roll-on.
So apparently, before any electoral cycle, before campaigns for elections, in any electioneering year begins, youths, Nigerians should always look out for the speeches of these candidates of different political party vis-a-vis the ideologies, the real-time ideologies of political parties that would be in existence as of the time of election before they eventually make their choice or decision on whom they would vote for. Is that what you're saying?
For now, that is the position for now. That is the position, because I cannot point out any political party with any political ideology. If there is, there will be programs. You don't need to wait until you get into government before you start rolling out your programs.
So that is perhaps the only way the Nigerian's democracy can be strengthened. That is the only way corruption can be ended, and also the only way to drive socio-economic and political agendas for development. So, well, that's why we'll call it a day on this segment, or perhaps episode of Leadership Dialogue podcast. I am Chiko Nakadili, and of course, we've been speaking with the president of Leadership Justice and Economic Development Hub, Barrister Memeh Samuel. Thank you all, as always, for being a part of this show. Remember always...
For having me.
Absolutely. Thank you too for coming. And remember that you can always be part of this conversation. The conversation has ended in the studio, but it continues on our social media platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, as well as YouTube. The page still remains at LJE Nigeria. Like, subscribe, and drop your comments. Bye for now.